So listen, whatever y'all doing right now, sit down, get a pen, get a pad. Y'all about to take some notes, right? Because we about to break this down very, very granular.
Yes.
Right? So what he just broke down is what I like to say.
No other bank gives that.
Yep.
None. No other bank. Yep. Not Chase, not Wells Fargo, not Bank of America, not Citi. Yep. And those are top banks.
Welcome back to another episode of the Millionaire Essentials Podcast, where we give you guys all the essentials it is to be a millionaire. You know, it's one of your hosts, Brandon the Provider.
Yes, sir. It's Tevin Facey. And today we got our guest, SBS.
My God.
What's going on?
What's going on, baby? What's going on?
You ain't going to do
Listen,
the app over there.
This is about to be a special one, right? Because we about to talk our language. We get a lot of guests on here.
Yes.
But it's a lot of times we got to educate or we got to add on. Mm-hmm. We about to talk what we like to talk about, right?
Yeah. Yes.
What we like to talk about?
Funding. Yes, sir.
SBS. What is it that you do?
I teach people how to rob the banks, but legally, and get access to business funding capital just to grow and scale their business.
Now, you got to be careful with that nowadays, right? People getting kicked out the country for robbing the banks legally, for talking that talk, right?
Right. Yeah.
So you teach business funding, right?
Yeah.
We was talking about a little bit earlier, right? We was talking about some banks, about some reps.
Yeah.
You actually do this thing that we call funding.
Yeah.
So for a lot of people out there, right, we talk a lot about business funding, a lot about accessing capital. In 2025, there's still people out there that think, oh, these dudes are scamming. How are these dudes getting 100K, 200K, 300K? And what are they doing with it? Break down, what do we mean by when we say business funding?
So basically, it's just working capital, for a business owner. It's being able to get access to working capital that they can use for marketing to, basically invest into their business to get access to more money, to get access to profit, right? And so what happens is when people say it's a scam is, one, most people are still confused about money. Right, They don't really understand how money works. They don't really understand how to properly structure their credit report out. And then it's different types of funding, right? Like we know that you got full documentation where you might need 2 years business tax returns, 2 years personal tax returns. You might need profit and loss, debt schedule, right? Balance sheet. Mm-hmm. You might need full documentation to get access to a line of credit or business cash loan. But then we talk about no documentation, where you can have no proof of income, no tax returns, no bank statements, and you can get access to 0% interest business credit cards. And then it's also understanding you got revenue-based funding, right? So that's when you get Stripe and you get different, or if you got Square, or if you got different processors, right, that will offer you funding based upon the revenue that you got bringing in. But most of the time, the terms is not really good for business owners, right? You got to pay back bi-weekly or a certain percentage of your earnings and things like that. So it's just understanding that it's working capital and there's different ways to go about and getting it. But it's just understanding what makes the most sense for the business owner, right? If you got bad credit, then okay, you need to be making money in your business. You got to show revenue, right? And then, you can get some of the revenue-based funding that we see from different credit card processors and stuff that we use. But if you want to get access to 0% interest business funding, where you don't show documentation, where you're not providing tax returns, bank statements, any of that, then we got to properly structure your credit report. We got to fix your credit, and we got to position you so that you can qualify for the funding.
You see that right there, right? That separates the men from the boys, especially in this funding.
He said a whole essay in like about 2 minutes.
I ain't going front. That's that.
He said a whole essay in 2 minutes.
That's that. That's Maryland.
Baltimore.
You can hear Baltimore. You can hear the twos and the U's. You can hear that.
I heard that. He put a whole essay in like a minute syllable right there. But that does separate the men from the boys, right? Because understanding a lot about funding is not just understanding, you can get 0% interest credit cards. It's way more to fund than just 0% interest credit cards. Yeah. Like you said, the revenue-based financing, full doc financing, light doc financing, right? So in this funding industry, right, I think what we start to realize is that people come to us and they just want money,
yeah.
Right? And what me and Brandon talk about is a lot of plan first, right?
Yeah.
So what do you see now based upon your clients or people that are coming to you? Do you see people in this day and age now coming to you with a plan now, or are they still just coming for money?
It's both, right? Like you come across people that actually have a plan, which is like for us as people who do funding and get people working capital, is like yes, right? Like I see somebody with a plan. But what I tell people is that like you got to start from somewhere, right? Like you don't always have to have a plan, but when you get access to the capital, you got to understand where to spend it. What I think the most important problem with business owners, and I tell them, is that you don't need to spend money or spend working capital on stuff that don't make you money. Right? People will get working capital and it's like they want to buy all the equipment or they want to get all this stuff that don't really make them money. It don't help your bottom line. right? So I tell, hey, look, yo, when you get access to capital, look at what actually makes you money. If that's marketing, if that's spending money on getting on podcasts, if that's spending money on getting, in front of new people and new audiences and things like that, then that's where you need to spend your money at. If it's depending on what the kind of business is, right? Like if it's if you do trucking or something like that and you need to get access to more dispatchers or more people that can give you more loads, then it's kind of looking at different ways that you can make more money. So I think the biggest problem is that entrepreneurs get access to capital and they spend it in the wrong places. Right. Yes. And that's where, like, if you don't have a plan and you don't really understand where to spend the money, then now you just messed up not only the capital, but you didn't really grow your business in a profitable manner. Right. But then you see people that don't even understand, like we talk about, okay, you got full documentation funding, you got light documentation. Okay, get access to the 0% interest business credit cards, start creating capital where you can now get business bank statements, because all your money that you're making from when you invest in marketing or certain places, now when you got money coming in, it goes to your business bank account. So now you can show 3 months bank statements because all your money, all your revenue went into your business bank account, right? You can get a QuickBooks account, right? You get an accountant. So now you take the 0% interest business funding that you got access to without using documentation, but you start properly setting up your documentation so that now you can go for the heavier parts of funding. And that's just what you say, having a plan. So really, I think the biggest thing too is that people don't come and get coaching and go to people that like us, that are strategists, that can teach them how to leverage. Okay, look, you might not have no documentation. Let's get your credit straight first. Let's get you in a position where you're making money. It's going to your business bank account. Let's get your QuickBooks. Let's get you an accountant. Let's get your documentation set up properly. So then when you do want to graduate to, light docs or full documentation, you don't have that issue now because all your stuff is pretty much in order. Even when it comes to the tax returns, a lot of business owners, they try to get as close to zero as possible. Right? Because you're trying to run away from the IRS, but that's one side of it. But if you need to get access to capital, then it might not be best to go straight to zero or file as close to zero. Now you might want to show some income so that when you do get your full documentation funding, whether you're going for a line of credit or for a term loan, you actually can show that. And so it's just understanding the strategies and how that looks as the business owner and getting the right people that can give you the strategy.
Hold up.
No.
I see what podcast.
No, I see what this is about to be.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. So listen, whatever y'all doing right now, sit down, get a pen, get a pad. Y'all about to take some notes, right? Because we about to break this down very, very granular.
Yes.
Right. So what he just broke down is what I like to say, and y'all hear me say it a lot: no doc, light doc, and full doc. Right. There's 3 different ways you can get funding, right? No doc, light doc, and full doc. Yeah. So let's start here. A lot of the people that think this is not possible or this is a scam or that think it's going to be very, very hard to get funded, we're going to break it down right now. So a lot of things was advertised to everybody that think it's easy. It's first no doc, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
What do we mean by when we talking no doc funding?
It's no proof of income. So it's no pay stubs. It's no tax returns, no balance sheets, no debt schedules, no business tax returns, no personal tax return. You don't have to provide any proof of income. But you need to have at least a 720 or higher credit score. You have to have a decent built-out profile, meaning that you need to have, more than 2 credit cards. You need to have maybe an auto loan. If you have a mortgage, that's even better. It just has to have you have to have a different mix. You got to have age on your credit report too. So I would say more than 5 years of age. And you have to have real primaries. The biggest problem that I see with entrepreneurs is, I just want to go get these AUs. Can I just add my...
What's an AU? What you mean by AU?
Authorized user. Can I just get this authorized user? Can I get authorized users? And it's like, no, you have to really build out a solid report. You have to build out a solid foundation. And I think that's the biggest part about the no documentation that's advertised, is because nobody really understands how to properly structure and optimize their profile to show age, to show that you understand how credit really works, that you have real credit cards with real limits from major credit card companies. And then because it's all about what we call comparable credit, right? Like if you don't have the proper comparables and you want to go get a $50,000 business credit card, but all your credit cards is $1,000, $500, things like that, you're not going to get access to the capital. So it's just understanding that no documentation means you're not proving income, but you still have to have a strong credit report and understand the different data points that go into that credit report and actually building it out properly. The crazy thing is that that's something that people can all build if they get access to coaching, right, and understand the strategy, and let somebody walk them through how to properly build out and structure their credit report and put the proper things in place so they can have the age, they can have the credit cards, they can have the mortgage, they can have a different mix, they can have everything that's there. And I think the biggest thing about entrepreneurs is that everybody wants something microwave. Credit is really a foundational tool that you can create generational wealth. You can't build Rome overnight. And so people want to build credit reports overnight. And it's like, yeah, there's different things you can do to help get access to maybe some personal funding real quick. But if you really want to get access to the 200, 300,000 that we talk about, no documentation, you're not going to build that credit profile overnight. You got to take the time to really build it out. And that's the problem, I think, in our community is everybody wants something microwave. Everybody wants something fast. Nobody really wants to do the work that it takes to build it out properly and then position themselves for the long-term success that you can pretty much have with, you know, being able to get access to no documentation, then the light documentation, then a full documentation funding.
I can see he got a full clip for every question you.
He got a full clip. He fully loaded. He came in with the chopper.
Yeah.
He came in with the chopper.
Every question, that boy got
He
the
came
clip.
in to hit the block up.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, he came prepared.
Yeah.
He came prepared. He came fully suited.
Yeah.
That man
So,
came suited and booted, bro.
How much? Let's stick with the no doc for right now,
Yeah.
right? How much could somebody say they got a good profile, fully built out profile, strong profile, 720 credit score. We got we got a lot of primary accounts. We got at least 3 credit cards. We got some mortgages on our account. We got a car loan. How much would you say just leveraging my credit score could I get in front of
The crazy part is, like, if you're talking about, let's say if they want to do personal loans and business credit cards at 0%, you can get 250 anywhere from 250. I would say 250.
What should I do first? In your
So
opinion?
that's where the strategy comes into play, right? I think what's really important about that is coming to people like us that can help you with the strategy and understanding, like, it's certain banks that pull from certain reporting agencies. So if you're going to do it, like banks like Elan Financial, they pull from TransUnion, right? And they service a lot of, you know, the banks that we know. They service a lot on the back end. So let's say if you want to go to U.S. Bank, well, we got to know if you want to go to U.S. Bank, it's best to go to Elan or banks that serviced by Elan because you can get a $25,000 business credit card from them. But they pull from TransUnion, but they're really hard pressed on inquiries. So you got to know what banks are hard pressed for inquiries and which banks are not. So like American Express, you can have 10, 12, 13 inquiries with American Express. As long as you got a previous primary relationship with them on the personal credit side, you pretty much can still get the business credit cards with them, the charge cards and the blue
It
pass.
ain't gonna be a pull, right?
And it's a soft pull.
Soft pull, yeah.
Yeah, it's a soft pull. So it's just like, I think that this is the biggest thing with entrepreneurs is that, like, when you don't get the coaching and you just get the information online, you don't really understand all the different facets that go into what banks you should go to first, second, and third, or understanding who pulls from where. And so it's not a one-size-fit-all situation. Like, and that's the problem with the internet. You get all this information, but it's like, yo, everything don't just fit everybody, right? Because, hey, if you don't have a relationship with American Express and you try to go get the business credit card, what kind of limit you gonna get?
2,000.
Bingo, right? And we know that. So what happened? Oh, yeah, but you can just go to American Express. But people don't understand that, hey, if you don't have a personal relationship with them on the personal credit side and you try to go get that business credit card, you're only going to get 2,000. So it's like, I think when it comes to that, I don't even try to preach, hey, this is the strategy, because I think for really it's based upon the person's credit profile, what relationships they built, who they bank with, what state they in. So it's so much that go into it. And so we got to just be careful because a lot of times as entrepreneurs, business owners, we like to give game, but all game ain't game. Depending on your profile and your situation. So that's why you gotta be careful, especially when you give information out to the masses. So I would say basically get with a strategist, get with somebody that understand. My best thing would be, hey, yo, get with somebody that understands the strategies, that knows who pulls from where, knows what state your LLC is in. Because that's another thing. Oh, yeah, we'll start an LLC in Wyoming, right? But you don't do business in Wyoming. And you got to understand now, okay, you have asset protection, but how many banks lend in Wyoming? Right now, you can't go to a lot of regional banks. You can't go to Truist's. You can't go to certain credit unions and things like that. So people see information online. Yeah, bro, I got my LLC set up in Wyoming. Bro, but you live in Georgia. Do you understand that if you did it in Georgia, we can go to Synovus, we can go to Truist, we can go to Chase, Bank of America, we can go to all these different banks. But now that you're in Wyoming, you just cut off 3, 4, 5 regional banks that we can't even go to now.
I don't understand. I don't think y'all understand what he breaking down, right?
I was about to say, when we ask him questions, we're going to have to, like, limit, like, what he in, because...
No, I got to break it down. I got to transcribe it after.
Yeah, no, you do. You definitely do.
I'm going to transcribe what
he
just
talks
said.
really fast, but it all... I just want to let y'all know, this is all true and factual information. Yeah.
I'm going to transcribe what he just said, right? Every business plan is built different, right? When you build a business plan, you need a LLC structure for funding. So I understand, like he just said, the Wyoming, Colorado LLCs, y'all probably got that advice for different reasons to do different things. But when you're structuring your LLC for funding, it should be structured in a certain way. It should be closer to where you do business or your home state, because they look at where you live. They look at how you do business. They look at your nature of your business. And then especially if you're looking for funding, like he said, you want to go to a favorable bank or favorable city or state that you can get access to banks for funding, because every bank does not fund in every city.
Correct.
So like the banks in Colorado, like you said, when they come with these age corps or these foreign entities in Colorado.
What's an age corp?
Age corp is a corporation that's been aged that people buy so they have some experience or experience in the business, right? Mm-hmm. So you can buy age corps for funding. But I'm tired of people buying the age corps in Colorado, Wyoming,
Minnesota.
even Las Vegas, even Minnesota, Vegas.
Vegas.
Yo, get it in the states where you guys can get funding. And like what SBS is breaking down, ask us first before you make a move, because we could consult and let you know what to do and how to do it.
Yep.
And we used to talk a lot, right?
Yeah,
we used to talk a lot and break down
just sequences.
Yeah,
bro.
sequences.
It was just all sequences, like
credit reports. It would just be a lot of that, and the fact that we was able to collaborate even early, right? Yeah. Just understanding exactly what people want and what people are trying to get, but don't understand exactly what we're giving them.
Because it's just the online, because people get access to all the information online, like even with the age corps, like you said in Wyoming and Colorado. But like most of those states don't have a lot of regional banks that's giving out a lot of bags.
Yep.
And I think it's important that we gotta just educate entrepreneurs too. Like you gotta start using AI, start leveraging ChatGPT, and start asking questions. Like one of the things that I did recently, I just went to ChatGPT and I wanted to know what banks has the most cash flow, right? And like it spit 5 different banks, right? So of course, Chase was one.
Yep.
2 was Bank of America, right? And 3 was Wells Fargo,
and
right?
Citi followed right after.
And Citigroup, right? Which was shocking because most people don't even talk about Citi because they don't really offer a 0% interest business credit card. But it's still like understanding.
They do have a line of credit though.
They do.
But not a lot of people are able to access it because they've switched up a lot of their requirements and now they ask for documents.
Right.
Before they didn't ask for any tax returns or bank statements. So I think that's why the reason why a lot of people haven't gone back to Citi or even go to Citi just in general, unless they got them documents.
But then it's still a good. Even
it is a good bank.
But
though.
even on a personal credit card side, like the fact they got the partnership with American Airlines, stuff like that.
The Diamond Preferred card is really good too.
Yeah. So but that's why people got to understand that certain banks are for certain reasons, right? And this is why it goes into strategy. So I just think there's so much information online that people see, and then they go and set up their LLC or go get their age corp or go talk to this person. And a lot of times, just for people to make money off you because they don't. If they gonna make money off selling age corporations, they're not worried about you getting access to capital, right? They're not worried about that.
This dude smile. He look like the Grinch. I ain't gonna hold you.
Because we see it every day.
Because that's the conversation that I'm ready to have.
Right.
The conversation of people selling the information but don't actually do the work.
I mean, we speak about this. We speak about this. It seems like every day now.
Yeah, but I think it's important to speak about it. In the day and age that we in, bro, social media has nothing but influencers and content creators now that are coming up and saying, yo, I got a course teaching you how you can get $100,000 right now. Buy my course. Oh, only using business credit too.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what's going to happen to y'all, right? And what's happened to a lot of people that come to us.
Right.
When somebody teaching you how to get funding, right? They teach you how to get funding. Now, they're not doing it in real time because the banks change every couple months. The banks could change every time a president is elected. They could change their rules and regulations every time they see fit. So how you qualified 6 months ago could not be how you qualify now.
Yep.
And if a person not actually doing it, they're not going to know. They're going to teach you stuff from COVID where everybody was getting funded, and they'll teach you stuff from then that's not working now. So y'all going to go to the bank, follow what they're saying, and get approved for $2,000. Now, once you get approved for $2,000, it's hard to come back around and now try to get $50,000 on top of that. Now you got to build your way up from $2,000 for the next year or 2 years.
Yep.
So that's why you want to get with people that's actually doing it like us in real time so we could prevent you from starting out from the bottom and have to build back up. You could come out the gate off that $50,000, off that $100,000 if you do it the right way.
Yep. Yeah, and we also have a lot of insight through the bank reps, right? Because a lot of the bank reps are talking to us because we've built that relationship now, right? Relationships is key, especially in this funding industry. Relationships is super key. So if you haven't built a relationship with your relationship manager or a business banker or a branch manager at any of the banks that you're looking to get funding from, you're not going to get the funding you're looking for. Yeah. And you could, right? It could be that 1 out of 10 situation where they come out of nowhere, apply online for Chase and get a $50,000.
Yep.
But that's because you had a relationship previously before.
Yep.
They're not going to come out of nowhere, you apply online and give you $50,000. It's not going to happen. I can tell you that now. 100%. And if that does happen, I got $100 for you right now. So comment YouTube if you've done that
I want
before,
100.
please.
I want 100, bro.
You want 100? No, you ain't do it.
So SBS, right? For what I can see, that struggle before success, right?
Yeah.
Struggle before success. What does that mean?
So I grew up in Baltimore.
All right, we can tell.
Yeah, no, for sure. So
Baltimore is a tough city.
Yeah.
Baltimore's a tough city.
So-
Very.
No, so what happens is like you just grow up in an environment where you see struggle, right? Like you see struggle. Not a lot of people really understand financial literacy, especially when it comes to growing a business, starting your own business. Like you got to pretty much kind of be a person that's built for that. Like you just got to want more. And what happens is that you kind of succumb to it. Most people succumb to the environment not wanting more, or just the environment of seeing other people not be successful, right? And so that's really what I saw. But, you know, basically just growing up and then having my daughter at 24 years old, it was like, you know, I think that was the biggest thing that changed my life. And what I tell people is that sometimes things happen, really everything happens for you and not to you, right? So me having my daughter, it was like, man, I had to become a father. I had to really like provide, right, and become a provider. And then just understand that everybody was going to depend on me. My mom going to depend on me. My family really going to depend on me. And so, you know, the struggle really was just getting access to the information, right? Because I think a lot of times when we come from the hood, like we got the work ethic, we got the hustle. But what happens is that we hustle back is because we go get a job, we do it at 9 to 5. Or we do it on the streets, right? We do it in the wrong places. And so we don't get access to the proper information where we can really apply the hustle. And it's like we really get a chance to take care of our families, do the things that we need to do, provide a different lifestyle. And so that's really where the brand came from. I just thought it resonated with so many people that come from the hood, but that don't really understand how to become successful, that don't get mentors and coaching and things like that. And I think it's really about finances. I think at the end of the day, like once getting access to the information about the financial literacy, about the banks, because I think getting access to money is one of the biggest problems that entrepreneurs have, is that they got dreams and goals and all that, but like they don't have the money to get started. Like most of them, your family on food stamps, your mom on welfare, you know, like that's where you come from. So it's not a lot of money floating around. And so then on top of that, people don't really believe in you. People don't really want to see you win. It's so much to go into that. So that's really what happened with, you know, the brand. It was just like, that's where I came from. And then I understood where I was going. I tapped into the right mentorship, the coaching. I got relationships like Tevin, you know, getting on the phone. Like he said, I get on the phone. I used to call and ask questions. I had no problem picking up the phone. If I see somebody got questions that's knowledgeable, I'm picking up the phone calling, right? I used to, if he didn't answer, I would text, like, because I'm someone, I'm trying to seek the information. Like I'm not, I don't never look at it like that. But once, and I know that he was genuine and it wasn't nothing personal. It's like he running a business, he busy, he getting to it. And that's the thing too. Like I think a lot of time when we come from backgrounds, it's like, I don't want to say this person because say they put me on. Nah, fuck that. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, I called him. I definitely use him as a resource. And that's part of the reason how I got to where I am today, because I wasn't afraid to use people as resources. And not necessarily use them in a bad way, but at the end of the day, show people that I'm hungry and I'm willing to work.
Right.
And like, you know what I mean? Let's collaborate. Let's build. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to him for even being the ear, answering the phone, walking through different credit reports and stuff with me, even at the time when I was just kind of getting to it. But I would say I put myself in that room. So I think we met at the Best Fest.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's one of the biggest things about struggle before success is like, you got to get into the room.
You ain't seen me there?
Yeah.
No.
You was there. I think you was there.
So why you spoke to Tevin?
You ain't see that.
No,
You ain't
we
see
just
him.
tapped in, but you was there, bro.
No, he wasn't.
So why you spoke to him?
No, he wasn't. You ain't see it. You ain't see it. It's all right. Look, see that?
Yeah.
That's ego.
I guess you gotta know Tevin to know he a hater.
What? Yo,
I guess you gotta like
Dude,
really know him to know he's a hater. Okay, cool.
If that's not a form of hate right there, you just shouted me out. Yo, my man, he helped me. I give him props.
Yeah.
My man, he a hater. He really a hater. If that's not the form of hate,
No, but you know what's
I don't
crazy?
know what it is.
That's what dudes really do though. Like it's crazy. Like like you said, that's important. Like, and I tell everybody, networking is gonna get you further than anything else, right?
Yeah.
Networking, being in different rooms,
And appreciate
like
it
you
too,
said,
by the way, bro.
Yeah.
being in different rooms, exactly like you said, is going to get you further than you would ever imagine. The genuine relationships. That's why I tell people get out there, right? Because you don't live in Baltimore no more, right?
Nah, I moved to Florida.
Okay.
So yeah, we in Fort Lauderdale now, and I moved in October 2023. I really moved because I could, as an entrepreneur, I got to a certain amount of money, and I wanted to continue to grow, and I felt like I was the smartest person in my circle, and like my guy Nehemiah say, like if you're the smartest person in your circle, you in a cage, and I started really feeling like that because I remember having my first $10,000 a week. Right, just on the web, like doing webinars and kind of getting out and just, all right, boom, you see different business models, different processes. Okay, my first $10,000 a week. I remember I ain't had nobody to call. I ain't even want to tell my mom. Like I ain't have nobody I could really talk to because who could you when you start doing that type of stuff and just in our community, who can you really go in, like, yeah, bro, I just had my first $10,000 a week, and it's like, yeah, bro, okay, go get 20,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I remember I reached out to him 500 when I did it. He was like, yeah, bro, that's nothing. Like, that's light, good work. You know what I'm saying? Let's get to 20,000. Like, let's double down on what you did. And that was the only person I could reach out to because he was somebody I knew that had did it and it wasn't an issue. But like my family, my friends, like I couldn't even have them conversations. And it's like, that was one of the things I knew, like, all right, I got to get out, because when you start doing certain things, you feel like you can't be celebrated with the people around you, or it's like, you know, if you do have them conversations, people might view you as you bragging or something like that. Like, nah, it's time to get out. So, and what I tell people is that you got to get around people that's doing the things that you want or that's done better than you. So when you have the conversations, it's not bragging, it's all love. And so that was one of the biggest things about being able to leave, is like when you start making money and start, you know, growing and things like that. And if you're not growing, you dying. So it was just time to kind of pack up and figure it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that. I mean, I had a lot of those conversations with a lot of good friends that I grew up with, and it's just really, I don't know. It's like you want to help them so bad, but you can only do but so much. Yeah. Because if you try to feed them too much and they still not doing nothing, then it just feels like, for them, they might feel like, yo, you giving me a handout. Yeah. So I definitely understand that. That's. Shout out to you. Shout out to you for moving by yourself too.
Yeah, but another thing too, I say, like with that type of situation, I think the problem where we come from is too many people just don't want to say that somebody put them on or somebody gave them the information.
Yeah, it's an ego thing, right? Yeah. Now that you're saying that, because I wanted to get to that too, I think it's an ego thing. We have a problem knowing how to learn from somebody, or knowing how to be obedient. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Execute.
Knowing how to really say, I'm gonna sit down, because this person is at a position that I want to get to, and he's going to teach me. No matter how old he is, no matter how he look, I can learn from this person. I can sit down, and he's going to teach me where I need to go to get to the next step. Because we want to come out like, oh, we the big dog, we the boss. Yeah. But when you get on this level, you know nobody. Yeah. You're nowhere near there.
Correct.
You got to sit down and learn to get to that next level. Yeah. And we got a lot of problem like ego. You know, how we are, you step on my shoes, I want to fight. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's a lot of traumas we got to break out of.
Yeah. And I know we was talking about it earlier, right? With you saying that, you moved to my Fort Lauderdale, right? And with you being out there, like, the networking is a lot different. Yeah. So your circles are a lot different. Like, when you make a $10,000 a week or a $10,000 a day and you speak to somebody that's in that, then go get more.
Yeah, it's normal.
Yeah, so I think that's super dope. And like I said, I commend you for going out there by yourself too, because a lot of people can't just move out of their environment that they're so comfortable in. Yeah. So how, like, being real, right? Yeah. Especially with you. Before? No. But with you having your daughter,
right?
How did that, like, emotionally feel, right?
Cause that was the toughest part, bro. Like, that was. See, what I tell people is that, like, that's the toughest part. When you got to make decisions, you got to sacrifice something, right? And so, like, I sacrificed being more present in my daughter's life to be able to kind of become a better man and grow, not just as a father, but as a business owner, to be able to kind of take care and kind of provide. But at the same time, like, I feel like my daughter get a chance to see, like, that I chased my dreams. Right. Like, I didn't just make any excuses. And it was like, it was hard. And it's still hard to this day, because it's still like text, the calls, like you miss spending the time that you really want to spend. But I'm very present when it comes to like graduations, when it comes to the birthdays, when it comes to Christmas, when it comes to the stuff that I got to be present for. You know, I never miss that. And then it's like, I think for people in general, it's just understand that, like, really I was going to continue to die as an entrepreneur, because I wasn't going to be able to feed that part of me. Like, and it's just about being able to see things. I tell people, like, when you see something, you can seize it. So being in Fort Lauderdale was like, yo, now, like, renting cars and sitting in like, I sat in my first Lamborghini, drove my first Lamborghini. I got a chance to, like, get my first Rolls Royce. Like, I got the chance to do stuff that where I'm from in Baltimore, it's just not accessible. Like, there's nobody that drive Lamborghinis, drive Rolls Royces. And it's not about the materials per se, but it's to stretch your mind to know that it's possible, right?
It's the feeling.
Right. And it's like, those are multiple $100,000 cars. So is it really about the things, or is that someone out here that lives, that eat, piss, shit, the same way I do, can do these things, right? And it's like, if they can do it, then it's like, you know, it's
possible, yeah.
And I think that where I come from and what I tell people is that it's not enough examples. Like, even for all of us, like, you know, we being more examples to other men that you can have a girl, you can have kids, you can make multiple six figures, and you can live a certain lifestyle. You don't got to sell drugs, shoot a basketball, catch a football, be a movie actor. Like, we need more of those examples in the community, because the only people we see is the drug dealers, or the only people we see is the people that's on TV, right? And it's like, if you don't see these examples in your own life, your own neighborhood, your backgrounds, it's like, you feel like there's no way out.
Gotcha.
And so I think that's what Fort Lauderdale did for me. It was like, yo, there's a way out.
And it's crazy how like we all could relate in the same way, because this is the reason why big reason why me and Tevin do this, because as entrepreneurs we want to create the lifestyle we want to live, right? It's like before earlier you was here earlier, I couldn't shoot you because I want to go my daughter's presentation.
Right.
She had a performance. I'm gonna go do that, and then we gonna come back and shoot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I watched something a little while ago. It's crazy
daughter.
because this is the reason why me and Tevin do it, and we all can relate, because as entrepreneurs we create the life we want to live. Reason why I ain't shoot you early, because my daughter had a recital. She had a presentation, actually a performance today. So I'm gonna go do that, and I'm still gonna take care of business when I get back.
Right.
It's something I watched a little while ago. I forgot what it was, but he said, how can you tell your kids you could be all you want to be when you didn't be all you wanted to be?
Mm-hmm.
That's tough.
And that replays in my mind all the time. I'm going to go out and be all I want to be, because I'm going to tell my daughter she can do the same thing.
Yeah.
So my daughter's 8, and all she know from me is entrepreneurship. I had a 9-to-5 for like 15 years.
Yeah.
But since she was about 2 or 3, I've been an entrepreneur.
Right.
And this is all she know of me doing this.
Yeah.
That's all she's going to know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's crazy how we all relate on the same path.
Yeah. I mean, because showing the kids that they can be all they want. I mean, that they can be all they can be is a direct reflection of the belief that you also have in yourself. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times people don't really believe in themselves, and then they wonder why their kids don't believe in themselves.
Right.
And it's like, yo, you understand that your kids are a direct reflection of what you put into them and what they see from you every single day. So, and that's why I tell people, like, you gotta be that. You gotta be exactly what you want your kids to be, right? You gotta live that as much as you can. And that's the thing I see so many people is like, oh, you know, I want my kid to be this and grow up and be this and be like this. But it's like, you're not even doing that.
Right.
Exactly.
You're not even putting the work in to do that. You don't even
Not
want
the
to make your
example.
dreams come true. And so, like, the only thing they're gonna do is follow your footsteps. So you gotta really understand that you are the first king, queen. You're the first like example that they pretty much see. And it's like, you know, that's the thing about being a dad. It's like, I'm the first guy, you know what I'm saying? So if I want my daughter to look for guys that do the things that I do, it's like, how do I operate as an example of that, even at a young age? No, and I was saying, like, I'm being that example for my daughter. Like, if I want her to look at certain guys or get a certain type of guys, like, I got to be the example of what that guy looks like, right? Not being a bum, somebody that's handling business, that has dreams, goals, and looking to do something with their life. And it's like, you know, prayerfully, like, she sees that in me, and it's like, that's the type of guy that she pretty much wants to go for.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, that's what we hope. It doesn't always happen that way, but the best thing that you can do is be an example for your kids.
Yeah, I think I was back on. I think a question I have, right, is basically, if you were to start over again, right, and you were to learn about something in general, right? I'm gonna give you 2 topics. Would you learn funding or would you learn leverage?
You know, I think
Leverage what? I think you got to be.
no, I got it right.
I don't want to be detailed.
Okay.
I
No,
want it to be. I want it to be general. Even for funding, I want it to be very general.
I really would learn. I would want to learn funding.
Okay.
And the reason I say that, and the reason, and what I tell people all the time is that when you understand funding, what happens is that you can use that as leverage. And a lot of times leverage is just understanding you're making money on other people's time, energy, and efforts.
Right.
Like, so when you think about, you know, Amazon, or when you think about Walmart and all these famous companies, the reason they're so successful is because they're making money when other people are at work.
Right.
When you have funding, or you put yourself in a position to get access to capital, you can use that to get paid on other people's time, energy, and effort, right? And that's really where I think it's important to understand what leverage is, because all leverage means is that you're using something else, right, to either make money, to basically get to gain. You're using something else to gain. So if you have access to capital and you know how to get access to capital, you can pretty much put out all the other pieces in place, right? Especially depending on whatever your business model is, your infrastructure, you're going to need people. Even like today, think about it, right? We use, you know, virtual assistants for different parts of our businesses, right? And a lot of time we use our funding, or we use our working capital to pay, right, their salaries, right? So what do we do? We leverage the funding and we capital, and we just leverage their time, energy, and resources. It was using other people's money. right? But then what happens is that we now gain a profit because we get people funded. We charge a certain percentage, or hey, if it's a certain mentorship program and things like that we put in place, now we just made money off of leveraging the capital and leveraging other people's time, energy, and effort, right? And it's just understanding. I think the biggest thing is education, like not having knowledge, right? So now you just leverage your knowledge to put all this to get together, right? To get the fund, get the capital, to hire the employees, to put the business and infrastructure, the model together. And now pretty much you got a successful business, and all you had to do was basically understand how to get access to the money and then leverage it in the ways to, create a profitable business.
So let's talk about that, man.
What about you? What would you do? Which one would you pick?
I didn't like that question. I ain't gonna hold you, bro. I didn't like that question as soon as you said it.
I mean,
because I think it's the same thing, to be honest. Because especially what he broke down.
No, it is.
This is my answer. To me, funding is leverage.
Yeah, I know.
So that's how I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna say funding because funding is leverage to me.
But that's what.
But what do I know? Where am I at? You said I had to start all over again.
Yeah, if you had to start all over again.
I see.
I said
now I'm
that.
analyzing the question again.
Yes, I said that in the beginning.
I like to break things down deeper. So if I had to start all over again,
then he's gonna pick leverage.
I'm gonna say leverage, even though I would say funding is leverage. The only reason why I'm gonna say leverage is different things you can leverage. Because if I'm starting very green, I don't know nothing, and I think this is a problem with a lot of entrepreneurs and first-time business owners and rookie business owners. They don't know what to do with the funding.
Gotcha.
So it was a long period of time where I didn't know what to do with $100,000.
Yeah, you got it, and it's like, I got it now. I can do what can I do?
But being genuine, if I was to start over, right, and I did no funding, you just need to take a part of that funding and get the coach. For whatever. You're
absolutely right. But that's the thing. You don't even know to get the coach.
Exactly, because remember I said start all over.
Right.
So you don't know anything about this.
It take you a while to understand your coaching.
I got you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So that's the reason why I asked that, because a lot of times everybody wants the money, right? Especially everybody that's now here on social media and seeing all of these different coaches and things like that. But I think what starts to happen is they figure out they have really, really good credit. They're like, all right, cool. I'm definitely about to go get the funding because I have that 700 plus credit score.
But the funding don't make you money.
Exactly. Right. And that's why I asked the question of funding and leverage, because both answers were right, but it just depends on where you're at. But I think that's why the leverage. I think that's why the leverage was important.
So as as business owners, right, entrepreneurs, I think that a lot of times that's like we do calls, right, with people, and think about how when you do a call and it's like, hey, I want to get into real estate or I want to get into Airbnb, like people be having an idea, somewhat of an idea of what they want to do, but it's the execution level that be the main issue, and that's where like you got to get a coach. The only other issue with that is that because of social media, they see 5-6 different things per day.
Yes.
In terms of different industries. So
and that's why I don't be trusting their judgment when they say that. Right. Because it's the what's the shiny object syndrome?
Yeah. Shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
Shiny penny syndrome.
Either
shiny
which
object,
way.
Shiny penny.
I think what happens with all of these people is they have the idea, but they start to get that shiny object penny syndrome, right? And what starts to happen is they see, like you said, they see the 5 different things, and then say, yo, I wanted to do real estate, but that trucking I heard looks easier, or the digital product looks easier. Right. So I think what starts to happen is that we don't teach enough of hard work. Yeah. And I'll put that on the onus of all of us as entrepreneurs, or coaches. All of us that's coaches, right? Yeah. Is because yes, we make this look good. I know what Brandon's gonna say. Yes, we make this look good, and people, they just see the look good part. Right? They don't see the bad. They don't see this month was crazy. I had to spend more than what I made. They don't see that. So what do you got to say? Because I see your face. I already know you.
Right? No, I just don't say we, right? So, I mean.
I'm not talking about us.
Okay, that's what I say. Don't say we. It's a lot of us have fault. We get
a bad rap for
everybody
else.
From the marketing, right? It's a lot of
But that's why it's, with you even saying that, it is still a we. Because they're going to look at us as a whole in totality anyways.
So let's talk about that, right? Let's dive deeper on that.
Yes.
Because we spoke about $10,000 weeks. We spoke about $10,000 days.
Right.
How are you doing this? Because you're looking all shiny over there. You're looking pretty good.
So you gotta start.
Break down how we making this money.
So first step was definitely getting access to coaching, right? Like with me, with me, and like what I tell people all the time is that like there's so many different ways that you can make money. So there's multiple different business ventures that people are doing $10,000 a month, that people are doing $10,000 days, right? What happens is that you have to have focus, right? So what I did was I locked in, right? When I came across credit, so how I even got into credit was I did a deal. Me and my mom did a real estate deal, right? I met a European guy who understood how to structure LLCs. My mom had a free and clear property that was on the same block that they was doing some revitalization in, and the property was worth like $250,000, and we owned the property free and clear. So we partnered with the guy. We did the deal, right? He, in so many words, he beat us for $68,000, right? And so,
that's because you didn't have the knowledge or the financial literacy of anything.
Because I wouldn't even needed them. I would have got my own hard money loan, bro. My credit would have been structured properly. Boom, when I got the hard money loan, did the rehab. Now, if anything, if I would have messed up, it would have been with the contractors, because we know how, that's a big part of real estate.
Yes.
Get the right contractor, right? But I would say, like, what happened was, because I got into that deal and he beat us for $68,000, I was young enough where it was like I wanted to know everything that he know. I wanted to understand, how did he put this together, and basically how did he get the money from us, and how did he swindle the deal from like up under our nose, right? And so I tried to reduplicate the process with other properties that she owned free and clear. Because shout out to my mom, she was a nurse, but she would like buy cheap property in Baltimore, $5,000, $10,000, go to auctions, stuff
and they
like
were
that.
giving the medical assistants and nurses out there.
Yeah, different programs.
Yeah, different programs. John Hopkins, it's John Hopkins, right?
Yeah, John Hopkins.
Yeah, John Hopkins.
They had different programs, and also in her case, she would go to a lot of auctions and get property for cheap. It just so happened that when John Hopkins started doing the rehab and the revitalization, and they came up with different plans and the eminent domain and all that kind of stuff, boom, like the ARV shot up. Right, property taxes went crazy. So when that happened, it was like that's where the value came from. So when I tried to reduplicate the process, it was like, okay, bro, your credit is not good. So at first, I'm going to, I'm sitting at banks, I'm talking to like other bankers and things like that. At the time they're white, so I'm thinking that because they white, they don't want to lend to a young black guy. So okay, I said, let me go find a bank that got like I can go sit with a black relationship banker, right? Unbeknownst to me, it's like, nah, there's underwriting guidelines, there's things that they're pretty much looking for. Like, you just don't qualify, bro. So it had nothing to do with white or black or any of that, the color. And that's another thing in our community. A lot of times we assume things won't happen for us or can happen for us because we're ignorant to the real. And then we blame it on stuff that has nothing to do with it, right? We blame it on color. We blame it on just vices that really is no longer even an issue if you really just understand how the system and how stuff works. And so boom, so that was how I started. So what I realized, I had bad credit. I figured that out real quick. My mom had no credit. She had no credit.
That's bad credit.
Yeah. Yep. And so, and this is the crazy
part. It's actually worse sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
But what I tell people is that it's easier to build. It's easier to build when you got nothing than to like repair and have to build. Like that's like that repair and build is
you can build a lot quicker.
Yeah, you can build a lot quicker. So she paid all the bills on time, really never dealt with credit. So, I set up an account with Navy Federal. We got a secure credit card with them. I started with that, right? I would have even did it differently now, knowing what I know now. Even back then, I just got a little secure credit card. I started with that with Navy Federal. Started doing like some just those credit building accounts, stuff like that. Kind of built it up, right? And then what happened was, boom, she had a 700 plus credit score. And when she got to that 700, Navy Federal transferred her credit card over from secured to unsecured. And, that was off to the races. Then we went on Capital One. I went to American Express. I did the Navy Fed, auto loan conversion. I did a couple different things. And then I was also able to go back to the hard money lender with her credit being the right way. And because we own property free and clear, we didn't have to worry about any tax returns, bank statements, because we owned it free and clear, and it was value there. I just had to leverage her credit, structure the LLC properly. And so it was actually like everything that happened to me that was a tribulation, I just turned it into a triumph. So I'm actually thankful that he stole the $68,000, because that was really what motivated me to get the information. And I think, and what I realized though in our community is nobody knew the information. See, I couldn't go talk to my father, my grandfather, like it was nobody knew the information. I think that'd be the biggest thing in our community, is that like there's no examples of this information in the community that you can go and sit down and talk to about how to structure your LLC, how to build your credit properly, and then what's the different things that you can do. It's people right now that get access to land, parents die, things happen, they get passed down, real estate, stuff like that. They don't got no clue, because it really starts with understanding the financial literacy, and the way that school system was built. That's the thing. It's not about white or black. The way the school system is built is for everybody not to know anything about finances, because it's all about control. right? And with control, that's how you send more people to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week, and more people can work for institutions and go to jobs every single day and retire broke. And so I think it's really just the way the system is built out to teach people to go to work, get a job, 40 years, retire on 40% what you couldn't, live off in the first place. But it's really just a way to kind of control people. Even if you think about student loans, a lot of people getting a student loan debt really early. But think about it, like, you might go to a 4-year university and be in hundreds of thousands of debt, and then you go get a job that's only paying $50,000 a year. There's no way you can ever pay that back. So that the system has basically put you in a position of being in poverty, but they called it freedom. But no, that's just that's just the system, bro. The system is built it's built for people to it's wired for people to fail. It's programmed for people to fail. Mm-hmm. And so that was really what my story though. Like basically that's what happened, and then that's how I pretty much turned everything by getting access to the information. So when I seen Tevin at InvestFest, that's why I was young. I'm hungry. I want access to the information. I'm trying to tap into anybody that can help build the business. And the thing about funding, right? Because when you talk about $10,000 days and $10,000 weeks, what happens with funding is that once you get access to the information and you get that first client where you help them get their first 100,000 and you can charge at 10% and they pay that invoice, that changes everything, right? Like that changes everything. When you get that first client and then you actually walk them through a process of getting them the money, because one thing I guess I love about selling money, right? Because I think we in the business of selling money. The one thing I love about selling money is that like people are always happy when they get it. Like people be the happiest when they get the money. It's like. Yes, like, because whatever business ideas and dreams and stuff they had, it's like it gives them a chance to actually make their dreams come true. So I think that's really big. But so basically being able to get your first client, a funding client, if you understand how to understand what underwriting guidelines are, if you understand how to set up relationships with banks, or even how to go get relationship managers at certain banks, and if you can actually start plugging people in, do an email introduction, sometimes it's just as simple as an email introduction, right? You can make, $10,000 just by doing that. Back then though, when I had my first $10,000 a week, it was off webinars. So I used to do a webinar every single Sunday. I did organic content, and I was teaching people how to fix their credit, right, using AI, and basically how to do applications, how to get access to capital. And then on that webinar, I used to sell a mentorship program for $1,000, right? But in that 1 week, we had 10 people buy on the webinar for the $1,000, and so it was like I had my first $10,000 a week, just doing webinars, right, from home. I was in the house. And that was like, it was a mind shift. But, one of the things that happens with success is that when you have success, it makes you want to keep doing even more and more and more and more and more. So I couldn't wait for next Sunday. I couldn't wait for the next Sunday after that.
One thing, you broke down a lot just now, right? But a couple important things you just broke down, right? One part of the business that a lot of us as consumers get caught up in, but a lot of us as entrepreneurs and business owners need to understand is marketing.
Yeah. Yes.
So I'm glad my guy, John Holt Bryant, right? He's getting a lot of attention now. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad he's getting a lot of attention because he teaches a lot of foundational things about business and funding that we in our community need to know. It may not be, it's kind of unsexy, but he's teaching it the right way from what I believe in my perspective. Right. I think a lot of us is getting caught up in marketing and we're buying into things that's leading us down the wrong path. Right. So you got a pretty strong marketing channel, right? You pretty big on social media. Yep. I see you a lot everywhere. How have you built up that organic marketing, that strong social media presence, and what is it doing for you?
What I tell people is one word: is being consistent. You know what I'm saying? I post every single day, right? And so, what happened for me, and what I started to understand is that if you do what most people are unwilling to do, you'll win. So most people are just unwilling to post every single day. Right. They're unwilling to put content out. They're unwilling to put education out. And so I was consistent. Every single day. One of the most important things I tell people though is like TikTok really changed a lot of, and people don't really respect TikTok a lot. It's one of them things like, oh, you TikTok, like people laugh at it, but TikTok really changed the entire social media game because it was the first platform where you can get in front of people that you didn't know. And so that's where I started. So I started with TikTok. I used to make videos, 2-3 videos every single day on TikTok. And it started catching traction, started building. So what happens is that when Instagram came out with Reels, because remember, Instagram didn't even have a Reel. Yeah. It wasn't that way. It wasn't even, like, for you to get known, for you to really be known on Instagram, you had to really be known in real life. Like, you had to really have the party promoters.
Photos,
people, party promoters and people like that.
Party promoters, popular, yeah.
If you wasn't that, that was it, right? Because, like, it was only people that you knew. So you got to think, even with Instagram, because they always in a mode of domination and dominating other platforms, when they seen what happened with TikTok, it was like they had to switch stuff up. So what happens is that boom, that's when Reels came out, and then I took everything that I was posting on TikTok and started posting on Instagram Reels, and I just started being the same consistent every single day. And then I did the same thing on Facebook, right? Did the same thing every single day. What's crazy is, look, this year, when I started this year, 2025, I'm gonna take YouTube more seriously, right? I started this year, I was at like 2,000 subscribers. I took the same mindset over to YouTube. I'm at like 42,000 subscribers, and all I did was take the same content that I was already posting on other platforms,
repurpose it
and put it on YouTube. So I think that I was really just consistent. Another thing is, a lot of people don't research. You know what I mean? We in the funding space, so you know, like Tevin might post a video, or somebody might post a video that might go viral, and it's in our same space, right? What a lot of people are afraid to do is copy the right cats. You know, I have no problem with that. So if it's a video in my same space and I think it makes sense and it resonates and it also went viral, you know, 2 + 2 = 4, you know, all around America. So if this video went viral, you might not even understand why it went viral. It could be some simple information to you. It might be something that you already know because you're in the same space. But if it went viral, it went viral for a reason. So a lot of times being able to repurpose viral content and understanding that, like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just look in your space. Like, anybody can go on Instagram right now and go to the Reels section, and whatever your niche is, you can go search your niche and look for like most liked videos, most viewed, most liked, most commented. You can kind of do that type of research. You can batch all of that, put that into a certain section, note section, put the links, and you can kind of repurpose it. And then boom, you can pretty much go viral as well, because the math is going to work the same for everybody. It's just basically a lot of people don't do research and they try to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, that right there, I don't post a lot.
Yeah,
and I need to.
Yeah.
Brandon
You talking to the right person right here. Yeah, you need to. Yeah.
See, I knew he was gonna start.
Yeah. And who you was talking to?
Yeah.
Is right here.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You know, so I'll say this: the great thing and the power between like partnerships,
Right.
is that accountability, consistent accountability, annoying accountability. You know, it's all the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Right. But seriously, how do you feel about not collaboration, but partnerships, right? Because I know I see you by yourself a lot, but do you have any partnerships on the back end that is something that's major to you, or?
Yeah, that's like, even like where I'm at today with the funding space. I basically set up a lot of different partnerships. So I got different people that send me different people,
right?
For funding, and I think honestly,
do you have any partnerships internal to your business yet, or no?
Just like outside of relationships that we have with the bankers,
right?
But like that's really internal, I would say. But really, no, I just definitely have other people who might be in the same spaces with that are good with content, that can get followers and got the clicks and got the comments and stuff like that.
Right.
But they may not really have the information that we have with the relationships that I have. So I do like a collaboration with them. And another thing, I'm not greedy. You know what I mean? So like what I've done and what I realized is that in the space, like, you know, a lot of times what I see is that people like in the funding space is like, oh, they might charge 10%, 15%. But then when somebody bring them a referral, they only want to give 2%.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So one of the things that I did is like, I might even give them, like, I might do a 60-40 or even a 50-50 depending on how many clients you're going to send me.
Right.
Because what I realized is that, right, if I give you a 50-50 split, okay, yeah, let's say on a $50,000 client, we get $5,000, you only get 25. We both get 2,500. But now you're motivated to go get more clients, right? And so like, yo, if it was 2,500 I wasn't even going to make anyway, and now you just brought me 5 more clients or 10 more clients, now I just made an extra $25,000 because I motivated you, not because I was greedy. And so that's one of the things, that's one of my models that I've been like looking at, is like when I have conversations, I'd be asking people like, yo, so when you go get people funding, or when you take people to deal with other people, other collaborations, like what are they paying you? And like you start at 2%, 3%, stuff like that. So I'd be like, all right, look, bro, I'll give you 4%. You know what I mean? If you bring me a certain amount of clients, like I'll give you 50-50, we can bust it down the middle. Because to me, it was clients that we didn't already have in the first place. And a lot of times I think we look at it like, yeah, it's an expertise and information, which it is, but it really is relationships that we got at the bank. The relationships ain't going nowhere. And we strengthen the relationships too, because now we get to bring them more clients and they get to look better at the bank, right? They get to look better when it comes to certain quotas and stuff they got to hit. So it's like, it's a win-win.
That's the mind of a business owner and an entrepreneur, right? I notice a lot of people be penny pinching and they ain't even make no money.
Yeah, that does happen a lot.
Due to it not be making nothing a month and be like, yo, I need a 70-30, bro. I need an 80-20, bro, or nothing.
Yeah.
Like you ain't even making no money, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens.
Like, so I think we talk ourselves out of certain situations, bro.
Yeah.
and we really our own detriment to our own success.
Yeah.
And we like to blame it on a lot of other factors, but most of the time it really just be us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it do.
Most
And
of the time it really just be us.
I think we especially in this funding space, right? Not even just in this funding space, but just in business in general, having a 30% profit margin is actually successful.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of people
you don't understand numbers though.
Yeah, and that's the thing but that's because of social media.
Yeah.
Right? They see, yo, this dude just made $10,000. If I come into this funding space, I need to be making $10,000.
Yeah.
It's not that.
Yeah.
Like sometimes we can't we can't service however many billion people are on this earth.
Yeah.
Right? So how is it now that when you come into this funding space, you can't give up 50%, you can't give up 40%, you can't give up 30%. So I think, especially if you're coming into this funding space, right? If you're somebody that's watching this and you're coming into this funding space, 30% profit margin is something that's more than doable.
And I wouldn't
Even
even
40%.
I wouldn't even use the terms give up. I think when people need to understand business, you want to be an asset to other people.
Yes, correct. The
You
value.
want other people to be happy doing business with you. You want other people to make money.
Right.
The more you can make other people money, the more money that's going to come to you.
Yes.
The more people think like, it's a struggle to work with this dude, the more you're not going to make money.
Right. And that's something that we've done, right? That's the way how we were able to build our business to a 7-figure business, is because we were able to take those referrals, those partnerships, even our partnership, right? It got further strengthened, and just understanding the VAs, understanding the systems that we needed, going back and understanding foundational things, KPIs, things like that. I feel like we talk about this on every podcast now as of late, but I think that's just us looking back in hindsight to say, yo, we got the experience, we got the foundation, we have the systems. Now it's to say, how are we going to be able to take this 7-figure business to an 8-figure business at some point? And I think that's, like, even for me and Brandon, that's some of the things that we're now looking into. Like, how can we really expand upon our business, right? What are the things that we need to do? How can we eliminate ourselves even more, right? Having executive admin, right? Bringing in somebody that's more diverse and understanding of maybe the systems that we have, hiring more people on the team, CSMs, customer service managers, and the CRMs, right? So if you're coming into this space, I think starting to learn about those foundational things are super important as well. Not just the experience, not just the mentorship, but just learning the foundation. I mean, we had this conversation like 2 weeks ago, and, you know, me and Brandon were going back and forth about experience and foundation, and I think both of us were right, but those foundational
Mostly I was right, but let's talk about that.
I will say the affiliate side for the funding is very key though. Like the more affiliates that you can pretty much add to your team, because a lot of times, even like we talk about 30% or like the profit margin, what happens is you're still getting a free customer. Because you're not spending any money on marketing to get the customer, and you're having someone that's gonna continue to be motivated to bring you more customers. So every customer is free, and now pretty much we get a chance to profit together, and it's gonna continue to motivate the person to bring more people, right? The only thing that we gotta do is or if it's us or like you said, somebody on the team, they gotta analyze a credit report. You know, a lot of times like we just gotta look. We're not doing. It's like. You know, coming from Baltimore, I done did real jobs. I know y'all done worked hard. Like, what we do is not necessarily hard work. We might analyze a report. How long does it take when we have the expertise that we have to do a couple scrolls of a finger, right, and analyze a report, right? And sometimes, even if it's not perfect, right, and this is the thing I like about, even for me, like, even if a credit report is not perfect, that's cool. Look, if it's a bank that I know we can get you 30 to 40, 50,000, I'm going to let you know as a client. And if that's something that you want to do, hey, we can do that too. But I'm going to let you know, you need to use this 30, 40,000 very wisely, spend it here, do these type of things. Hey, do this on your credit report. They, even when it comes to, a lot of people have high utilization. And it's like, they don't even understand how, hey, look, there's certain personal loans, there's certain soft pulls that you can do, whether it's SoFi, whether you can go to Best Egg, whether you can go to Prosper, right? But there's certain soft pulls that you can do. You can get access to the money, pay down your utilization. And now look, you ready to go into getting access to capital. So it's just different things that I'll look at and see. And it's like, sometimes it's not always a perfect case, but like with me, whatever the case is, if we can get you money, we can get you access to capital, I'm gonna walk you through that process. So that's just the thing, even with the affiliates, like they don't even gotta be perfect. It's just like sometimes they might have a great TransUnion, and they got direct deposit with Navy Federal. Perfect, right? Like that's you line up perfect, right? Now we can look at Lightstream, we can look at Alliant, right? We can look at some of that. So that's the thing I say too. Just as I look at it, like the more affiliates you have, even if you can make something happen, you just become that person, because now it's like, all right, well, my person didn't have a perfect credit report, but they still made something happen. We still got the client this, and I was still able to
that
make
comes
this.
from the experience though, right? Because most people won't know that about Navy Federal. Most people won't know that about just having the one good reporting agency, because they just think, yo, I gotta have 700 across the board.
Yep.
You can have one good reporting agency. Does that mean you're gonna get the same as everybody that's online saying, hey, I got $200,000-$300,000? No. But it's a step. It's a starting step. It's a first step. Yep. And sometimes people don't understand that. They're so hung up on seeing everybody else's results and not really believing in their own. Yeah. And that happens a lot. Yeah.
So what is some of the programs you offer?
So we help people with getting access to capital. We have relationships at the bank we connect them to, and then we charge 10% of whatever we help them get access to. So that's one of the things that we focus on majorly, right? If you're someone that's not qualified, then we do help you with credit repair in terms of being able to help you structure your credit report properly. We give you guidance on that. We got an educational curriculum that teaches them how to structure their credit report, how to be able to fix the credit, how to go to do your affidavits using ChatGPT, how to use notarylive.com so you can notarize it and kind of get the stuff out. And then from there, I call it like a coaching program. So we do a call every Monday as well. And we bring people in. So we have different speakers that come in and give game. And then sometimes I just do a live Q&A depending on what people are working on. And then we do part of the educational program is teaching people how to set up a digital business or online business as well. How to, build their brand and use social media and stuff like that. Because people got to be able to understand that even with the online space right now that we in, like, it's never been an easier time to not have to spend money on ads,
right?
And be able to build a business and be
organic
able to make money.
Organic content.
It's organic content. So, and there's so many people that we see that's doing it. Like, you either gonna be a consumer or a producer,
right? And
that's the thing about just in our community. And I tell people all the time, you got to be somebody that produce, right? If you want to make money, it's becoming a person of value and being a producer. Too often in our community, everybody just want to consume, and that's why they're not really making money.
Yeah, that's dope.
I mean, it's a lot of. You feel good, like it's like with the movie Sinners, right? I think a lot of people miss the message in the movie Sinners. I don't know if y'all watched it. Y'all saw Sinners?
Yeah, I did. That was fire.
You can spoil it. Go ahead and spoil it. It's cool. I still watch it.
So, and this might go over people's heads even when I'm gonna say it, but we all like to feel good.
Yeah.
We all like to party.
Right.
So Sinners, I think a big message that people miss was they was letting the devil in.
Yes.
By doing what they was doing, partying, drinking. We don't understand even the music we listen to. That was letting the devil in.
Yeah.
So we don't understand a lot of frequencies we operate on is letting negative things in, and we don't realize. Yeah. And then we have to allow them to come in. So in Sinners, they was allowing the negative to come in. They was allowing the devil to come in because of the vibrations and frequencies they was on.
Right.
So a lot of times we allow that stuff to come in and we don't realize. And that's why it's important what you was breaking down around the circles you be around, getting out of your city, getting out of your comfort zone, getting in the right circles that people's want to motivate you and tell you about the right things to do. Yeah. So that's why it's very important for somebody to get their mindset right, get on the right frequencies, and get on that right path to be able to excel.
Yeah. And that's the thing about the music, though. Like you said, what's crazy about a lot of the music is, drugs, is killing. You know what I mean? It's shoot 'em. It's, like it's and really what happens is that it's an energy. It's a certain energy. Mm-hmm. Like like you said, it's a certain energy.
Transfer of energy. Yeah.
What happens is, like, for us though, especially when you come from poverty, all you're doing is putting yourself in a worse situation than what you're already in, because you're not feeding your brain the right stuff. You're not learning new things. You're not getting new skills. You're not putting yourself in position to develop, right? And I think, and that was one of the things I think that really also changed my life, like getting access to development, like whether it's the Jim Rohns, the Tony Robbins, the Les Browns, the Eric Thomases of the world, right? But just feeding your mind with the positive things, because you gotta you program for failure. You gotta rewire yourself for success. Yeah, and that's the thing that people don't really take the time to do. They don't take the time to really rewire their brain, rewire what's going in. And then from there it goes into, like you said, the environment, the people that you hang around. Because one of the things too that happens when you start developing yourself, and I tell people all the time, you can start developing yourself, but one thing about people is that they want to see you win, but they don't want to see you do better than them. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh man, when they see you growing, and what happens when you're a person that's growing and you're around people that's dying? And we never think about it like that, right? So we gotta analyze that. Like, sometimes it's better to be by yourself, right? Because if you constantly growing and you gotta get around other people that's growing, you can't constantly be growing and start hanging around people that's dying. Like light and dark don't really mix in the same room. Yeah. And so but in our community, it happens so much. And then, what happens is that we see it, like we see movies where it's like, even like Coach Carter, right? Where, with Coach Carter, it's like you got kids that want to go to college, do the right things, but they, they get the girl pregnant, or, or he hanging with the cousin Rennie, you know what I mean? He got, like, it's that it don't mix, right? And so we see it in our community so often, but that's why I think financial literacy, financial education, whether it's learning funding,
financial health,
leverage, and all that kind of stuff, like that's where we can start changing the trajectory of what's happening in the hood if we start getting educated. And that's why all the coaches are important, right? Even if they give it some, the Wyoming LLC age, at the end of the day, it can spark, right? And then you just got to go get the right coach that can give you the right strategy and give you the right GPS. Because that's the thing about online. People see all the different information, but they not getting access to an actual GPS that can take them to a direct address, right? Whatever that address is for them in their life and their business.
And they getting the stops.
Bingo. You know what I mean?
Well, now that we on that, we wouldn't be doing our due diligence if we ain't say, you got to drop some gems, take us through a process, a sequence. If I'm trying to get funding from you right now, you could pick any state. Give me some qualifications. Give me some banks I'm going to go to. Give me a sequence that you about to break down on how I'm going to get max funding. My credit scores is 780. Now, you know what? Let's be realistic. It's a 720.
No, for sure. So I think it goes back to just understanding you got to do a little audit. So like I talked about earlier, right, going on ChatGPT, seeing what banks got the most assets, cash flow. So you can start with your major ones. We talked about Chase. We talked about Bank of America. We talked about Wells Fargo, Citigroup, right? But then like do another question and say, hey, what regional banks, right? So if I'm in, let's say I'm in.
Pick your state.
Let's say
Maryland.
Florida. Okay.
Oh,
Maryland. Okay.
Florida.
Yeah. I was gonna say New York, but it's a little tight over New York.
Yeah.
New Jersey, not though. New Jersey, cool.
No, Jersey cool. Jersey cool.
So
do Florida.
Yeah, so Florida. If it's Florida, I'm definitely. See, the thing about Chase, I'm personally starting with Chase because, and we all know, like if you want to get anywhere from I'm gonna say up to 150,000 at 0%. Chase is gonna be the bank. So what's gonna happen is that you can go and do you can actually do one application with the relationship manager. Once you get approved for that one, you can go in. You can actually do two with the same one, or you can get the one approved and go and do double back on the second one, right? So that's going to basically be anywhere from 75 to 150 right there. You got Elan Financial, right? Elan Financial is really good. If I'm in Florida, I'm also gonna hit Truist because they pull from Equifax, right? Of course, you could do Bank of America. Bank of America don't get the highest limits on business credit cards, but you can still get two of those. You'll probably get about 25K between 15 and 10 on two cards. Get 25 with Truist, 75 to 150 with Chase, right? Then we talked about Wells Fargo. They have a business credit card to Signify, and you can also do the line of credit as well. But you gotta have a bank account. You gotta have a business bank account to get to Signify. We talked about that earlier. But for the line of credit, now this is the thing that's so crazy about the shelf corporations or the age corporations, right? If you have a business that's 2 years or less, Wells Fargo will give you up to 50,000 on line of credit.
Yep.
But if your business is 2 years or older, you can go up to 150,000 for that line of credit, right? So that's the biggest thing. Like, and then you got credit unions. I mean, Navy Federal will give you a business credit card. If you got a business account with them, you might as well get it because you got the business credit card with them. But the reason when people always ask me like, yo, which way would you go? It's like people might be listening to this and they might try to do that, but then they don't have a business bank account with Chase. Or they don't have a business bank account with Bank of America. Or they don't have their business account with Wells Fargo. So a lot of times, if you don't have the business accounts, if you didn't establish a relationship with these banks, that's going to limit your access.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
But yeah, so I would definitely do Chase number one. I'm looking at Elan Financial because they're really strict on inquiries. And
Let's go. Hold on. Let's go numbers. What we getting from Chase?
So anywhere from 75 to 150. If you do the right data points. And I'll give y'all a hack, right? Look, what I tell people, if you want to get access to the $50,000 cards or higher with Chase, when you do your annual business revenue, you got to do $1 million or more, right? Say that your annual business revenue will be $1 million or more, right? And another thing with your personal annual income, I would say at least do $250 or more. That's a gem. Ain't nobody even going to tell you that. Nobody's going to give you data points, but I'm going to give them to y'all because you still going to have to come to us anyway because we got relationships, right? So what happens is, right? So that's the data points, but you still going to need the relationship, right, with the banker, right? But what happens is that a lot of times that's the biggest thing we see too is that entrepreneurs don't know what to put on applications. Right?
Yes.
But Chase is one. They can give you anywhere from 75 to 150, 0% interest. Right. I would do an Elan. If you have a third party bank that deals with Elan, I would go to them because they pull from TransUnion and they're really strict on inquiries. You actually can get two cards with Elan, but you got to delete so you got to get the card first, the 25. Then delete the inquiry and you can go for another card with them, right? I would go to Truist if I'm in Florida because they'll give you 25,000, 0% for 9 months. And you can do that as well with. And you don't have to have a business bank account, but I tell people set up the relationship so you can have a better chance of getting approved. Right. If you do have an account with Wells Fargo, then get the Signify card as well, because you can get the Signify card. They do 0%. Then I would also we talked about the line of credit, right? If you can get that 50,000 up to 50,000 a line of credit, that's pretty key as well. What else? You got Citizens Bank, right? Citizens. See, Florida, we got everything. So Citizens, you can also do Citizens. They'll give you up to 50,000 on a business credit card. They also pull from Equifax, and now we just got the 2 pulls from Equifax with Truist and Citizens. Really, one thing I would do is I would leave American Express for last, because you can go get as many inquiries with them, and you can leave them last. The major thing with American Express is make sure you have a relationship on a personal. So one of the things you can do is get the charge card, either the gold or the platinum on the personal.
Get in the system,
right? Yeah. Or you can get the everyday blue card, the everyday card,
0%,
everyday card, right? Get in their system, and then like kind of lead them for last on your business process. But yeah, I would go Chase. I would do Bank of America. I would definitely do Wells. I would do Truist. I would do Citizens, and then. Really, I mean, that should be.
That sounds like a quarter right there. That sounds like at least a quarter right there.
And I think
at least 250.
And I like that you stopped right there, right? Because a lot of times, what happens with a lot of these funding company dudes is they want to get them the bag. They want to get them 300, 400, 500,000, and that's just because they're gonna get paid. Yeah. And I think what starts to happen is when these people start to default.
They don't have nothing to do with the money.
Exactly, and when they start to default, then now when we're trying to service our clients. Yeah. It starts to look bad on our part because because the banks now they don't want to work with us anymore, or they're like, I had a COI before, and now you're now coming.
COI, hold on, you saying foreign
COI,
words, bro.
Right? That's the center of influence. Right. If you're going to speak to a relationship manager, a business relationship manager, business banker, or a branch manager, if you mention what a COI is, then they'll understand the language that you're trying to talk to them and how you build the relationship.
They gotta pay for some of that stuff. That right there, they gotta pay for some of that stuff.
Hey, it's at the end of the podcast. That's if they get to the end, right?
Right.
You right. Most people don't get to the end of the podcast. That's on them. Yeah. Anyways, so what I'm saying is just that I think that we do need to, as funding companies, right, and just all funding companies in general. I don't care if you starting or you already established and you were doing this. I think we do need to start cutting down on the funding so that we can just really just start to make sure our clients are making money.
No, for sure.
And that's
funding with a purpose.
Yes, funding with a purpose.
Another key to that too is that it also leaves room for that when the 0% time frame is up.
Yes, and they come back.
I wanted to get to that too.
They can go to other banks, and right now they can do the balance transfers. They can kind of do some stuff to offset the debt if they haven't made money, but they've been able to keep up with the cards and keep everything paid.
Right.
All right, boom. So since we didn't take you through everything, here's some other 0% cards that you can pretty much go after. Even like we talked about Elan, they do have a 0% card for 18 months, but you don't get any rewards or anything like that, because that's the key. So
that's the reward,
right?
0% interest for 18 months. And I think, I'm telling you, people just get caught up on the wrong things. Right. It don't got no points, it don't got no cash back. It's 0% interest for 18 months. Yeah. No other bank gives that.
Yep.
None. No other bank. Yep. Not Chase, not Wells Fargo, not Bank of America, not Citi, and those are top banks. Elan Financial is a servicer.
Yep. And the thing too, like a lot of people get U.S. Bank. Like it's not really one of my favorites, but if you have a business credit card that you can show that you got statements and balance where you paid it back and forth, then you can definitely leverage U.S. Bank. Because now what happens is you can go to them and show them the credit card statements, and you probably can get the 50 bar from them on a 0%.
Yep.
But if you just go into them for a regular business credit card, I mean, you might get 2,000-3,000.
I like to send them the that's. We at the end of the podcast.
See,
I was about to get to some more game.
It's like when you meet a bad chick, right? You gotta let one off before you go out on a date, so you could, you know what I mean? Yeah. So you could really impress her. A lot of times, rookies don't realize.
Podcast talk. You hear that, right?
No, because a lot of rookies don't realize not to let one off before the date. You gotta let one off before you go out. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I mean? You ain't trying to mess that one up, especially if she bad.
You're right.
A lot of people don't realize y'all be going out there, y'all get all nervous, you know what I mean? End up having a short night. You know what I'm saying? You got to secure the night. So when it comes to the fund, it's the same way, right? Like you said about the 0% interest. A lot of times we like to just go all out, get all the money out the gate. We don't have nothing to do with it. Now, your 0% is over in 9 months or 12 months. The 25% interest kick in. You didn't plan for that. Now you don't have nothing else to go get to. I like to call it refinance or balance. That's the balance transfer to put it back to extend that 0% interest. Yeah. That's where a lot of business owners mess up. Right. Yeah, they go out and get all the cars they want to get. The 0% interest is up, it go up to 20%, 25%. That's a big difference in a business, and there's a big difference in your profit.
Yeah.
So now that can really mess a business owner up.
Facts.
Y'all really got to pay attention to that.
Facts.
And that's why y'all come over here for strategy.
Yes.
And I think what happens too, like, because they don't come with strategy too, you don't even understand that. Like, when you go, let's say we take that same sequence we just talked about. There was banks we didn't mention. So the banks that we didn't mention, the PNCs, some of the ones that we just feel like it's not as favorable, but they still got business credit cards and stuff like that.
So many.
Right.
That's when you go and set up relationships. At least start your bank accounts.
Exactly.
Because you can get the funding, take $5,000, $10,000, liquidate it off the cards, right? And then you can go start other relationships that, even though we didn't go get the funding from them yet, because we strategized it, now we know, okay, boy, I'm gonna set up this bank account with PNC. Let me for $5,000, I'm not gonna touch it. But when it's time for my 0% to run out, if it's 9 months from now or something like that, now I can go to them and I can get that, and I can get that.
And that's setting up like that quote unquote accounts receivable in a way, right? Because now you know that the next year that you're gonna have clients ready to come back to you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't even realize that small little niche inside of our business that we have.
It's like that light doc. So when we talk about no doc, light
exactly.
doc, that's a light
Yep.
doc.
The no doc now transferred to the light doc.
Bank statements, accounts receivable.
Yep. But Brandon, I know we forgot to do something, man. You know what we forgot?
Rapid fire?
Yes, rapid fire.
Okay.
All right, we can do some rapid fire questions.
Okay. You gotta do different this time.
We can switch it up. We can switch it up, right?
So he gonna ask us some rapid fire questions.
Reason why I want to switch it up, right? I'm a little plain Jane out here. I know y'all shining like some Cubans that just came off the boat.
Nah, I don't know what you're talking about.
That just came across.
I know what you're talking about.
So I'm gonna do some rapid fire questions, right? Since y'all out here shining, you know what I mean? Y'all looking kind of good. I'm gonna start with you. It's gonna be, of course, you and Tevin.
I'm sorry, I gotta pause that.
Y'all look. See, this is the problem. This is the problem with these guys, man. You can't say.
I'm just letting you know. We still in New York, bro.
I can't say you look good.
We still in New York.
I can't say you look. I can't say he look good. I can't say you look good.
No.
I can't say you presentable.
That makes more sense.
Right.
I like that one right there.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Since y'all looking presentable.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm presenting, all right.
Y'all looking presentable. We're gonna start with some rapid fire questions, right?
Right.
I'm gonna start with SBS first, then you gonna answer, right? Mm-hmm. First question: white gold or yellow gold? You only have one choice, and it got to be all everything.
I like yellow gold.
Yellow gold.
Yellow.
Yeah, I figured that.
I'm definitely a yellow gold type dude.
Yeah.
I figured that. All right.
You ain't even get jiggy with the question.
What?
You supposed to ask white, yellow, or chocolate gold.
Yo, stop, man.
Yo,
stop.
I see something on Instagram.
Gold. You mean diamonds? You mean chocolate diamonds?
Oh yeah, I forgot my fault, bro. I seen
gold.
that. I was like, yo, that fuego.
Only you would like. He like all them different color rubies and diamonds and all. He like stuff like that, bro.
Nah,
come on, bro. This ain't 2001, bro.
I ain't with the rubies too much. I ain't with all of them. Yeah,
That's crazy.
Go ahead, man. This next question.
If you could pick one place, and you don't have to have been there before, one place on earth where you have to live other than America, what would it be?
Other than America, one place. Probably Canada.
Canada? I just expect.
I
Canada?
was not expecting
Canada.
Why Canada?
Just because
You seen the shorties on Instagram.
No. I would say the system is similar. I feel like the system is similar.
Okay.
So it probably, I would assume that with the social insurance number, if the credit is right, we can go get.
Oh, he's thinking of the bag. Still. He's still thinking of the bag. I like that answer.
That's smart.
But because I've been, some of the countries I've been to, right, Mexico to Colombia, it's like the different countries. It's like you see the poverty, you see it because what happens is that with America. I would say is that it's the fact that you can't really out in America.
Opportunity.
It's the opportunity that you can start from the bottom and be able to get to the top.
Yep.
Most of the other countries, it's like communism, or it's a situation where it don't matter what you do, like you're gonna always get at the bottom. Yeah, and it's like
unless you.
And I don't know if Canada's like that. I don't know if it's dictatorship, but I assume that you could get some funding, you could fix your credit, get some type of funding, and be able to have a chance at being able to win. But I don't think it's good to be in countries where you can't really
have the opportunity.
Yeah, have opportunity, bro.
Got you.
Because it's so destruction. It's like it's self destruction. Because think about it, right? even for all of us, what makes us do what we do every single day is because we understand that the more that we grow, the more that we learn, the more that we develop, that we can become more and do more and be more, right? But like, imagine if you couldn't be more. Like, you could do as much as you want, but you always gonna be at the bottom. Like, imagine that type of mindset and then how you would approach every single day. Because now it don't matter. It don't matter what I do, right? It don't matter how hard I work. It don't matter what information I get. Like, I'm going to always be this bottom person. You know what I mean? So for people that even live in that situation and you still happy and kumbaya, like, congratulations. But I just think that's so self-destructing as a culture, as a whole. So that's why I would never choose them type of countries. I would never, and I don't know which ones it is in terms of like dictatorships and stuff like that. But it's like, or communism, but if it's anything where I can't grow, become more, and be more, do more, I don't think that would work for me.
I think I would either pick United Kingdom or Africa.
You gotta pick one. Ain't no or. You pick one. I said cut. So first of all, stop. First of all, we know he did not finish college because I said pick a country, and he said United Kingdom and Africa. I told him to pick a country. He said United Kingdom and Africa.
You know what's funny? I was gonna say England instead of saying United Kingdom. I don't know why I didn't just say England.
So we know.
But
you don't have to be educated to be a millionaire.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Pick a country.
I think I am going to pick. I think I'm going to pick England. I am because England has the same credit system as us.
Oh, so that's how y'all thinking about it?
Yeah, opportunities. I believe exactly what he's saying.
Okay.
And the only reason why I didn't pick not just Africa in general, but South Africa for sure. Because that's where I would go, like Johannesburg or somewhere like that.
Okay.
It is that, right? It's because it is going to be harder to fight your way up there unless you've been in royalty blood or you work through a company that then you get close to the CEO of that company and then now you're getting favorism and things like that. I think England,
it's just like
would be my spot.
Even like when we see certain movies like Shadas, like just certain movies that we see like, or just different things that we see, like everybody is fighting to get to America. Even like to this day.
No matter what they say about it still.
Yeah, it's everybody's trying to fight to get to America. So I didn't even know that England had the same system, but like
similar.
It's not the same, but it's similar. It's very similar. So like you can build credit.
Like it's an interesting question, but that would really be my driving factor. Like understanding what other countries, if I like had to like actually just not off a rapid fire, but like research, it'd be like what other countries operate similar, where I can go here and I can be nothing and I can become something. I can get some relationships, I can get some resources, I can learn, I could get some skill sets, boom, boom. And it's like, you know, I could take it to the next level, right? Like that would be the biggest thing for me. Anything communism or anything where we can't become more and be more.
And I think that's the reason why I didn't pick Johannesburg is because of that. Because Johannesburg does have, I think, more of
it's a lot going on in South Africa.
Yeah, and
that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I picked England. It's not just because of the opportunity, but because it is very similar, right? And in the way of that we operate in America, and it's not that it's comfortability, but it is more so understanding that you can become comfortable in that situation, so that even as you're growing, you still have other places and things that you can do inside of just England in general.
You like Shots as the movie?
Yeah, I think it was a dope movie.
His cousins was in it.
I do it. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest.
He's Jamaican.
One thing for sure, two things for certain. If he wasn't gonna be an entrepreneur, like in doing this, he was gonna be a comedian.
Nah, for sure.
I actually want him, and I've spoken about this with him. Yeah. I think he should go do a stand up.
No, he is pretty funny, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
No, but he's reactive funny.
But what's crazy?
He's not the person that can come out. And this is my opinion because I haven't seen it. Right. I don't think he's the person that can write material.
Got you.
I can write material.
But what's crazy?
So I think you should do it.
I will say this though, right? Like
I think you should do it.
Being at the event,
he probably already got a book. I ain't gonna lie. He probably got a book.
I was just gonna say like when we because the first time we really was in the same space was at the last event when with Power Talk and Brendan, right?
Yeah.
And like when we was in the back, like you was definitely funny, like you know what I'm saying. And then like even today it's like bro, it was funny. You know what I mean? So,
He should try it.
But and not like on a cornball though. But you just like genuinely like you got the right comeback. So you just funny, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, this don't work out. You know what I mean? Or maybe you know what I mean. I get a little bit more money. I do my own. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what's funny? I was watching Joe Budden podcast. Because Joe is the same way. He likes to come. I think that's just a New York thing too. Yeah. Because we definitely come from the school of cutting ass. You in the lunchroom, you got to get to it. It don't matter what the lunchroom, the morning walk to school, the afternoon walk to school. While you in
bus
gym,
ride, or if you taking the bus or train.
Oh my God, it has to be there. So I think that's just a part of our nature. And he was talking about the same thing. I think Mark had asked, Mark Lamont Hill, he's a part of the show as well. He had asked, if you can do anything, I think this is a great question I should ask both of you. If you
I'm asking the questions here, but ask a question.
All right.
Ask a question.
Oh yeah, because I forgot you ain't finished. If you could do anything that would be very risky to you and it's something that you never thought to do, what would it be?
Oh, this could get crazy. This could get crazy.
But that was the question.
If you could do something that, say one more time, if you could do something that
it's never done before, and it's risky. Like super risky.
What, bro?
That's exactly what he asked. But it would be fearful.
That's a weird question.
It's something that's fearful. It's something that's fearful. Like that you would never see yourself do, like, or you would never.
Something you could get the courage to do that you probably wouldn't do right now.
Exactly.
Okay.
I don't know, bro. Maybe like swim next to sharks or something. Maybe like swim next to some sharks. But but in a situation where I won't get eaten, like I wouldn't get eaten. But like to be able to swim next to sharks, like had a skill set, but not to be fearful of like the animal. I'd probably say that's something I would never do. But like when you say risky, like I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, what do you mean by risky, bro?
All right,
yeah.
Take away the risky part, because that is what he said though. But take away the risky part. Something that's that you fear.
See, for me, in my
like
life
some
in
people's
general,
public speaking.
In my life in general, everybody should have a fear. If you don't have a fear, you're lying. So, but me in general, I want to face all my fears. So I plan to do everything that I'm fearful of.
Well, you still ain't get on a stand-up comedy stage.
Actually, I would do it. I'm dead serious.
So let's go. Let's do it.
I would do it.
And we will have I will have a production team ready for that.
I would do it, bro.
It don't even gotta come out of Millionaire Essentials budget.
Last question.
Wait, you ain't answer the question.
I don't know because
no. What is something that's fearful right now that you've never done?
Oh, that I've never done. I'll say skydiving. I'll just say that. But I would want to do it though.
I definitely do want to do skydiving.
Yeah.
It looks super dope.
Oh, well, no. It would be easier for me to do skydiving. I'd rather say bungee jumping. I'm more fearful of bungee jumping.
Bungee jumping is
I would do
crazy.
it, but I'm way more fearful of bungee jumping.
I ain't doing it.
But I would do it. But I do have a fear. It is some fear there to do that. Okay. But last question I want to ask.
I don't even like roller coasters. You talk about bungee jumping?
Last question I want to ask. Would you be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company making $1 million right now, or start a company from scratch?
Knowing everything you know right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Knowing everything you know right now, you're a CEO of a Fortune 500 company right now making $1 million a year, or start your own company from scratch.
Knowing everything that I know right now.
Knowing everything you know now.
I think that I most likely would take the CEO.
Okay.
I would take the CEO of the $1 million company.
Okay.
And the reason I would say that is because knowing everything that I know right now, I can start implementing strategies right now today to turn that $1 million company up, right? And what happens is that like, and this is where like as entrepreneurs and stuff, a lot of time it's like, yeah, I started the company, I put it on my back, I did it myself, right? Or I did it myself. But what happens is that like now you're the face of the company, you're the brand, you're the face, like you can't even sell the company, you can't do anything where you at some point be able to get freedom. Mm-hmm. So if I'm a CEO of $1 million company and I'm not the face of the brand, right? And it's like I just got to implement certain strategies, marketing, different employees, things like that, and I could run it where I can still live my life and do what I want to do. And I don't really have to start from scratch. I don't got to get it out the mud. I don't got to start from the bottom and get to the top. Knowing everything that I know right now, it's like, yeah, I would, because it would be fun to see like where I would take that company next year, 2 years, and then really, and this is things that we see all the time, like we see people exit companies,
right?
And it's like you can have
mm-hmm.
a multi-million-dollar exit, You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and then if you do want to start from scratch, it's like now you got multiple millions to do it. So I'm just knowing what I know now. Yeah, I would take that. And my goal would be to do a multi-million-dollar exit though.
CEO.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I think I had answers. What, 2 podcasts ago? Yeah. My explanation was definitely different from yours. Okay. I don't remember exactly everything I said, but it was just more so to learn, implement, and just understand that once now I do start my own company, I have a lot of those foundational steps. Yeah. I have those people that are helping, right? Because as a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, you have the advisors, you have the team, you have the lead, you have all those things that you learn as well in the process of being a CEO. Because being a CEO is also just being a visionary. Yeah. So you have all the integrators around you, and I think that's the way how you can also grow your mind to then grow your own company.
Plus the relationships.
Yeah, plus the relationships. Because then now when you start your own business, they're going to be there to help you as well.
And then it's just experiences. Like when you now having that experience, running it every single day, dealing with different people, attitudes, like you said, because you can have certain visions and things like that, but making it come to light, like sometimes it's legal things you gotta deal with when it comes to like sometimes it's strategies, tax strategies. It's a lot of things in content into growing a company that, like you said, there's a lot of different moving parts. But if you can master that, and then you can get a that thing about the exit is like when you we see people all the time that do it, but it's like imagine
it's a lot of things that go into that exit, especially when it's $multi-million.
So y'all some sellouts?
No.
I mean,
not at all.
I think you can call it. I'm playing.
No, it's cool. You can call it that. Nah, I'm not at all. I think
that's a major thing.
That's what they gonna say, though. That's what they gonna say.
That's cool.
That's what they gonna say.
But they not in my position.
And that's the problem in the community. A lot of time people are not doing stuff in life because you're too worried about what other people are gonna say about you.
Exactly.
And that's what I tell people.
And I don't care.
You can call whatever you want, like, because at the end of the day, like you said, we're not in the same position.
Right.
So you're someone who couldn't even walk a mile in my shoes, trying to basically give a opinion on something that you could never do a day in your life.
So you're saying like the people that be like, why he bought that Bentley? Yo, if I had that money, I would have put it all on Apple. And then they going to work tomorrow at Costco. Yo, he spent all his money on that house. Oh, he's stupid.
Yeah.
Nah, they don't understand. That'd be the tax write-off right there. The Bentley.
Or just marketing. Like, it just depends on what.
It's all lifestyle marketing.
It's like, it's all, as an entrepreneur, a lot of stuff is like, it's just a strategy. And so what happens is that, and what I realize, and what I tell people is, a lot of time what you see in front of the camera is so much happening behind the camera that you don't even understand. It's like what Wayne said, right? You wouldn't even get the picture unless even if the flash was on.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's what, especially when in business entrepreneurship, you need to get to know the people behind the face. You need to get to know the managers. You need to get to know the lawyers. You need to get to know the assistants of that person. Yeah. They're the ones who's really pulling all the strings and piecing it together. A lot of times the people you see is the face. Yeah. They're just the person that signs the contract. Yep. But the smart people, you need to get to know them. Yeah. So this has been great, bro. You dropped some crazy gems, a lot of unexpected energy, a lot of unexpected gems. Let them know what you got coming up.
So basically what I would tell you is, look, I'm going to give y'all some free resources. Just go to sbstalk.com, sbstalk.com. I'm going to give you 4 free ebooks. And if you are looking, to access capital, right, I got a free class. I got a free training that I do where I basically teach you how to clean your credit in 4 days using AI and how to get access to capital. You can text the word free to 240-301-1188.
Where can they find you at? I know. As soon as they put your name in, it's everywhere. But let them know what's your handle.
Yeah, so on Instagram you can follow me at Chief SBS. Same thing on TikTok, YouTube. You can find me the same way. So yeah, just look at Chief SBS, CHIEF
I'm glad you spelled that one out for them.
So people need it.
Somebody gonna spell it wrong, but I can't find him.
Sorry, listen, man, it's been another great episode of the Millionaire Essentials podcast. We got my man SBS from Miami, actually by way of Baltimore. You already know, branded provider. Make sure you click like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Someone's gonna be somewhere here. Make sure y'all catch this episode of the Millionaire Essentials podcast. It's branded provider.
Yes, sir. It's Tevin Facey.
See y'all soon.